I'm Ms. Roz, and we are going to be making pizza, right? For your pizza dough, you should be able to make this without my help. With the demo video, you can choose two ways to do it. You can do that conventional method, where you have to proof the yeast first, and then add the flour, mix, and then continue to add more flour to bring it into a dough ball. Or you could do the quick mix method, where you put in all the dry ingredients first, heat up your water, your oil, and then add it and mix it, and then slowly add more flour as you get your dough ball. Right? Either way is entirely up to you which way you want to do it. You could also choose to use the stand mixer. If you don't have one, again, you can always do this by hand. So just so you remember the ingredients that you need 2 teaspoons of yeast, a cup of warm water, about 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a teaspoon of some salt, and then a tablespoon of either honey or sugar. Either will work. But when you are finished with your dough, make sure you let it rise. Again, if you're going to be using it within a couple hours, let it rise on your counter for a couple hours. If you're not going to be able to use it for several hours, make sure you put it in the refrigerator and then bring it back out and let it kind of warm up to room temperature before you use it. All right. So my pizza dough, before I get my pizza dough ready, I'm going to just grab a little flour just so that if I need to, I have some on my counter while I'm working. But also what you might need is some cornmeal. Right? I put a little cornmeal down on the pan so that it helps to prevent it from sticking. Right? Now, if you have a pizza pan, right, that's great. Right? Nice big round pan. Sometimes there's holes in it because it'll help with the aerating of it. Or if you have a really nice pizza stone, that works really well. However, if you don't have either of those, you can also use just a regular pan, which is actually what I'm going to be using today. So you could still put it in a circle, but I'm actually going to do it in a rectangle since that's the shape of my pan today. All right. So with that, I'm going to just spray this just a little so that it doesn't stick, and then I'm going to put a little cornmeal down to help with that as well with the sticking. So just spray your pan a little. Right. If you do have the holes in your pan, make sure that you spray it over the counter, like over the sink or something, so you don't get spray everywhere. And then I'm just going to sprinkle a little cornmeal down to help prevent it from sticking. Right. All right. And so that'll be nice and ready for us. And so now I have my dough. All right, let's put this away so it's not in my way. All right, so then we have my dough, right? It has doubled in size. All right, so I'm going to punch this down. There we go. All right, so punch it down and then pull the sides out. Perfect. All right, now for this, right, should be nice and kind of flexible, right? Now, if you want to do this with in a circle, okay, you can kind of put your hands around it, and what will happen is that you're going to just kind of stretch it a little with your hands like so, right, and kind of do it up. So that's what you don't want. You don't want a big rip, right? So I'm going to actually try it again. Right, so just knead it a little, get it back into your dough ball. Okay. And while I'm doing this, I have preheated my oven to 475. You really want it to be kind of on for quite a while, so I like to turn it on probably about 15 minutes before I'm even going to start, so that it's nice and warm. You want to make sure that the entire part of that oven is at 475, right? So stretch this out a little. right? I don't know if I know some people, you know, some of my students in the past have worked in pizza places, so maybe you're much better at the whole stretching of the pizza. I can tell you I am not a good person for this. I do the best that I can, right? But you can use your hands like so, right? And stretch it out, right? What you also can do if you don't want one big giant pizza, you could actually split this dough in half and make kind of more like personal sized pizzas, particularly if you're sharing with people who don't necessarily like the same toppings, right? So let me grab my pan here. Right? Oh, this dough does not want to work with me, right? It just ripped again. So, all right, I am going to put this down again. Like I said, I'm not a good dough person here, but stretch this out. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it out while it's on the actual pan because I'm not so great with this, right? All right. All right, and then you want to make sure that you kind of have a nice lip on the outside because that will be your crust. All right. So spread this out as best as you can, making sure that it is a little thicker on the outside. Right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to prepare it by putting some sauce and cheese on it. However, one thing you want to do is you want to kind of put some oil down before. Okay, what happens is that it helps to it helps to make sure that your dough does not get soggy from your sauce. Right, so what I like to do is either I use a pastry brush and just put some olive oil down. Or if you have like a spray of olive oil, you can also spray it. Either way works. All right, so I'm just trying to even this out a little more. All right, and so I'm going to just put a little stomach with some olive oil. So I'm going to just put just a drizzle of olive oil on here. All right, and then I'm going to just take my pastry brush here and just brush it around. All right. So we get it again. What happens is it kind of creates a barrier on your dough, so it does not let your dough get too soggy. All right. All right. So once that is down, then I can put in some sauce. Now you can choose to kind of liven up your sauce a little if you would like. So if you want to if you want to cook some like onions and garlic and things like that, you could do that on top of the stove and then add your sauce and let it cook for a little while. Or you could just, what I'm actually going to do is just sprinkle some seasoning on. So typically I use somewhere between a half to 1 cup depending on how saucy I like it. Right, so a lot of times I'll just put it on and I just actually use the bottom of my measuring cup here to spread it out. All right. You could also use a spoon if you would like, however you want it to. All right. All right. I don't personally like mine super saucy, so I typically end up using maybe like 3/4 of a cup. All right. And so then, once I'm finished with the sauce, right, I like to add a little garlic powder. All right, so just sprinkle a little garlic powder onto there. right? And then a little, some Italian seasoning. Right. So, but like I said, if you want to cook a little garlic and onions into your sauce, you can. That's entirely up to you. Right. But then what I also like to do before is also season my my cheese. So I'm actually going to put some Italian seasoning into my cheese as well. I personally like a lot of Italian seasoning, so I put in quite a bit. Right. And then I'm going to just sprinkle some garlic powder in there as well. Now, if you don't have Italian seasoning, it's kind of a mixture of some oregano, basil, rosemary, sage, thyme. I just like it because it has all of these lovely spices already mixed into it, right? So that's about 3/4 of a cup of sauce, and then I mixed in about 2 cups of some mozzarella with some Italian seasoning and some garlic powder, right? And then I'm just going to sprinkle it on to my pizza. Alright, and then just kind of push around the cheese just to cover it. Now, if you have more cheese and you want to put more cheese on, by all means, go for it. But I also, if you have a little Parmesan cheese, I also, for flavoring wise, sometimes like to spread a little Parmesan directly onto here. So I do have a little Parmesan, so I am going to just get a spoonful and sprinkle a little Parmesan on here as well, just for a little flavoring. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook this for at 475. Make sure that is nice and hot, right? And it's going to cook for somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how cooked you like it, right? So if you like it nice and well done, where the cheese is nice and brown, cook it for longer. But generally speaking, somewhere around 12, 15 minutes or so, right? That is the assembly of your pizza. You can also add toppings. So if you wanted to put on, pepperoni, sausage, any kind of vegetables. If you want to put on vegetables, you might want to saute it a little. Cook the vegetables just a little so that they aren't too raw, right? Whatever your choice is, that's fine, right? But that right there is pizza. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you again later. Thank you.